Hello and welcome to the 2022 Milan No-Till Field Day virtual edition. My name's Blake Brown and I'm the director here. And with me today I have three of our research associates at Milan. On my far left, Jason Williams. In the center, Brian Guerin. And here beside me, Mr. Weston Bracey. Hop in the truck and go with us as we take a tour of the Milan AgResearch and Education Center. We were fortunate to move into this building in 2010. This is now our headquarters facility. Come on in, let's take a look around. When you come through the door, the first person you're likely to see is Leslie Smelser, our administrative assistant. Say hi, Leslie. Hi. And Allie Waxer has been on a post-retirement appointment for about 6 years after working here for several years. But both of these two ladies make everything happen around here and we appreciate their help. So we were just having a conversation about the genesis of the hybrid No-Till Field Day, and in 2020 we had to go virtual because of COVID. And so we came back this year and we started talking about, well, how do we want to do this? And we realized that we hit a lot of people through a virtual event that we'd never been able to reach before. But we missed having all our people here. And so we were debating the pluses and minuses of a hybrid or a virtual versus a live. And, things just evolved.
So you've got your benefits of both. Now, obviously, I wasn't here for the last one. You've got your benefits of both. How do you get to your hybrid where you're at now?
Well, we sat around this very table, I think, and Jason threw out an idea.
Well, we had this idea of virtual was a success virtually because we did get so many hits, but we did miss that live component. And so I just suggested maybe it was time that we downsized somewhat in that we didn't have trailer tours leaving from the tent and office area, and that we combine everything into our tent area. It would cut down on the number of tents. It would cut down on the number of speakers that you had to have. It would cut down on the number of workers. Because, hey, we all know that times are hard and COVID's been a little tough on everybody as far as budget cuts and whatever. And so we were looking to save a little money and actually save a little expense on ourselves from doing work all over the center and concentrate our efforts right here in the tent area.
I was here for the last one. It was actually the first field day I was a part of, the virtual one in 2020. And it just, as successful as it just was not the same not having a crowd here and getting to interact with people and them actually getting to see the researchers and actually get that one-on-one interaction with them.
And that's true, and my struggle was I felt like if we did both, if we had a hybrid event and did virtual as well as having live, that we wouldn't have many people attend the live event. And we were having a meeting over here, and I was asked that question with Tennessee corn growers, and we were debating the pluses and minuses of either side. And there's pluses on either way. But as we were breaking out for lunch, Mike Brundage, I go with my phone, a farmer from Weakley County, he came up to me and he said, hey, you know why I come to the Milan No-Till Field Day? And I said, why is that? He said, so I get to see all my buddies. And it kind of hit me that the social aspect of this event is huge, and we've been doing it for over 40 years, and we feel like that we're going to get the best of both worlds this time. We're going to have people here and they get to visit. Everything will be concentrated up here around the exhibit area, and it'll all be available online as well. So hope it works out great.
Well, one thing, Blake, that was mentioned to us is that some of the retailers weren't getting to come because somebody had to stay at the store. And so the virtual aspect of it gives them a way that some of the employees that couldn't make it to the live event could go online and get the information and, frankly, get their commercial pesticide applicator points and their CCA points.
Well, we think there's lots of benefits to doing it this way. We'll see. It's a big change, but after 40 years, maybe it's time to make a few changes. So we'll see. Hope y'all can come join us.
Y'all come out and see us live and then check it out online.
That's right.
Before we go out in the field, we'll take a quick tour of the office. If you follow me, some of the pictures on the wall tell the story of the Milan Research and Education Center through the years. Just some various pictures of different things. We have different offices, a kitchen, the crew from the years, and there's one of the very first field days. Maybe somebody in there you might not recognize. Follow me, let's go this way and see some more of the preparation. Brian and Weston in here looking studious, making plans for the field day. And as we turn to what was a conference room, sort of turned into our technology center. This year is kind of different because of the tours are leaving from the tent area and not from trailer or buses. So we had to go through and buy several 75-inch TVs to use in our tent area for our speakers to do PowerPoint presentations. Along with that, the mounting brackets. That's why this table looks like a mess right now, because it's got all of our cabling, all of our mounting brackets, all of the things we're doing to test to make sure everything will be a go for the Milan No-Till Field Day on the 4th Thursday of the month. Now let's go take a look out in the field and see what's happening with some of the research that we're doing.
The first crop to successfully integrate no-till practices was soybeans into wheat stubble. We continue to use this practice here at Milan. The first thing you'll see when you pull into our parking lot here is soybeans planted into wheat stubble.
This is Joe Jenkins, our resident electrician here at Milan at the Research and Education Center. Joe and his team have been doing our electrical needs for the Milan No-Till Field Day for a number of years. And as you can see, as we pan across the tent area, the tents aren't up yet, but all the electrical work has to be done prior to the tents going up. There's miles of cabling that has to be buried and strung up, and outlets to supply all the needs for our vendors and our visitors.
One of the things you won't see at the 2022 Milan No-Till Field Day is our variety trials that we have that Dr. Virginia Sykes is in charge of out of Knoxville. Over here we have our corn variety trials, and this is our soybean variety trials. We have a dry land portion and we have an irrigated portion. In our corn trials, we have almost 200 plots in the dry land, almost 200 in the irrigated, and the soybeans are right at 250, just a little bit under. We've got several different maturities. We've got 3 different maturities for our corn. We've got 4 different maturities for our soybeans. And one thing we've really struggled with this year on our soybeans that you'll see at some places in our station is you'll see a little bit of dicamba drift on these beans. Thankfully, we've gotten some rain after it. I think everything's going to be okay, but you can really start to see a difference in these soybeans and these soybeans right here. Here we are in Unit 1. This is on the Milan Arsenal. This is a field we call A11. It's a little bit over 30 acres total, and just a little bit under 30 is under a linear irrigation. It's 4 sections long. It spans 8 blocks that are divided into about 3 to 3.5 acre blocks. On the far end, at the very end of the field, we have a continuation of our variety trials. These next 2 blocks are used by Dr. Vince Pantalone. These are some of his conventional and Roundup Ready breeder soybeans that he will use. There's a little bit over 500 different varieties out here. Some of them will continue, some of them won't, based on Dr. Pantalone's discretion. And the next block we have the corn continuation of the OVTs, and then you have Dr. Dennis West out of Knoxville. As you go up a little bit further, we're working with The University of Missouri soybean breeder, Dr. Pyong Chen, he has about 2.5 acres worth of conventional soybeans that are breeder beans. And then on the very end, we've got our cotton variety trials. This is all under irrigation. It's great ground. It's utilized in a lot of different ways. We have our entomologist, Dr. C. Brown, doing his regional IST work here. It's a great field being under irrigation. It's a lot of space, and it's utilized in a lot of different ways. Very valuable to us here at Milan.
So here we are, currently we're on the Arsenal in our biggest field that we have on the station. This particular part of the field, we have a lot of our chicken litter studies. We have a corn and soybean rotation, and here to my right you can sort of see a treatment effect across this corn with the different heights and the different shades of green. These are some rotational studies with the corn and soybean here to my left. That were being conducted by Dr. Sean Hawkins and Dr. Angela McClure. Behind us here, we also have a continuous cotton system with the chicken litter as well. There's been some pretty good data published out of these studies the last 3 years.
Army Ammunition Plant provided the land that the Milan AgResearch Center was established on back in 1962. Since that time, an additional tract of land was leased back in the early 80s. This tract we're on here was leased beginning in 2002. Starting in 2018, we began negotiations with the Army to see about transferring this land to the University of Tennessee. The Milan Army Ammunition Plant is in the process of being decommissioned, and so we felt like maybe this was our opportunity. On January 1st of 2021, the National Defense Authorization Act provided for the Secretary of the Army to transfer this property to the University of Tennessee. We're currently conducting environmental studies, property surveys, and most recently cultural resources surveys in preparation for transferring this land to the University of Tennessee, hopefully by December of 2023.
Some of the data being presented on the Milan No-Till Field Day comes from fertility work that's being done on the Milan Army Ammunition Plant by Dr. Frank Yin. These are some of Dr. Yin's plots in soybeans and corn fertility work. Notice the treatment effect of the different fertility regimes in the corn. This field has been continuously no-tilled for the past 46 years. It's been the study for a number of years about counting earthworms in the soil. This particular study in a cubic foot determined that there were about 90 earthworms per cubic foot as compared to 0 in conventional till and about 10 in a woods lot area. Why are earthworms important? As we pointed out, the channels in the soil, earthworms, these little critters, burrow channels in the soil and allow water infiltration to go down in the soil profile. That's very important because one of the reasons that we have no-till is for soil erosion purposes. And as you can see on the side of this hill, this would be an excellent example of a place to where the soil would erode into the creek. But because it's no-till, and you can see the existing wheat stubble from last year on the ground, and then we planted directly into that, we've got a decent stand of soybeans. We've got a fair crop, even though it's July the 25th. It's been fairly dry, but yet we were still able to find some earthworms in this field even today. But you can see their evidence through the channeling in the soil. Very important to the no-till and the ecosystem of our fields.
So here at the center, we have two center pivot irrigation systems that are equipped with a variable rate irrigation technology. Each of these spans across this pivot has two different irrigation zones. And this travels all the way across the field, and each 2 degrees of travel, I can change the rate of water in each of those zones. So it creates thousands of individual, fully customizable water zones throughout the field. One of our researchers, Dr. Avat Shakufa, is utilizing this technology in soybean and corn water use efficiency research. This particular field over here that's soybeans this year, Dr. Shakufa is looking at two different maturity groups, a maturity group 3, which is an earlier bean, and a maturity group 5, which is a later bean. She's looking at the optimal timing to when to put water on the soybeans and the corn as well. She has another study in a different field. But this one here in particular is looking at soybean water use efficiency, the optimal timing of when a farmer should put the water on their beans. Along with that, she also has these small plots you see out here in front. She is screening different cultivars or varieties of soybeans for drought tolerance. These studies have been going on for a couple of years, and she's getting some pretty good data off of it. Hopefully with these studies, farmers will kind of be able to know when to put water on their crops, so they're not using as much water, and so they're getting the maximum yield benefit from their irrigation systems. This field behind me, we call it the systems test. It was first put in 2002, and it was supposed to be a 3-year study. Well, as you know, it's 2022 right now. This is the 20th year of this study. It's looking at a multitude of rotations between corn, cotton, and soybeans, any combination of those crops, as well as a continuous corn or continuous soybean or continuous cotton. This study also has a cover crop component to it, running perpendicular to the crop rows. During the fall, we plant 3 cover crop. We got a wheat cover crop, we have a Austrian winter pea cover crop, and a vetch cover crop. Along with those cover crop treatments, there's a chicken litter component, also running perpendicular, and then we have a no-cover control treatment. This study has, like I said, it's been going on for 20 years, so it's probably our most long-term study we have on the station. And a multitude of papers and research has been conducted in these plots, dealing with anything from crop yields to soil health, and of course the cover crop component and the chicken litter component. So, you know, some of the new terms that are coming around that you may hear of is, you know, things like regenerative agriculture, climate smart agriculture, and you know, a lot of that stuff has to do with the entire system and really, you know, thinking about the environment and all, and you know, some of it includes an animal component. So, you know, this study has been going on for a couple of decades now, and we like to think that we've kind of been doing that sort of research, that sort of climate smart research for several years now. But
So we were riding around talking about our different experiences with the Milan No-Till Field Day, and I'm the old guy here. I was here for the first one back in 1981. And somebody said, well, what's kind of fun about that? Well, it's been fun watching through the years the progression and the adoption of no-till. You know, when I first started and I was just a kid working here, we were trying to get the seed into the ground, into that wheat stubble we showed earlier. And now, through all the iterations through the years and the changes in equipment and chemicals and technologies, and now we've got 95% of our acres in the state are farmed with some form of conservation tillage. That's been pretty cool to be a part of. So, Jason, you've been here a while too. How about you?
Yeah, it's been a real change to see the way we do farming now, if you will. I remember when I first started, just as an example, this cotton back here, we started planting 15 pounds of cotton seed per acre per year. And now we plant it by the seed per foot. We're down to 3 seed per foot instead of pounds per acre. So the way we do business has changed, and I think it's a large part because of the research and the information's been passed along to our growers here at Milan.
Weston, you've been through one kind of virtual. What's
Yeah.
your experience been with Milan No-Till Field Day?
The first one I went to was the last one that was in person. It was 2018, and I just thought it was phenomenal, just seeing everybody here and just all the amount of information that you could get from field day. It was a very cool experience for me as a graduate student. But my first year here at Milan was in 2020, and so the first field day that I sort of had a part to do with was the virtual one, and I mean that was the first agriculture field day type thing that I had ever really experienced that was completely online, and it was just different, but I think it was pretty successful. But I'm just excited to see one that's in person and getting to be involved in it.
And Brian, you've only been on staff here about a year, a little over. What are you thinking about this upcoming event?
Well, to me, it sounds like with all the experience you guys have had and our other colleagues, there's a lot of history that goes on here. So I'm excited to be a part of it. I think there'll be a lot of good information. I know we've got a lot of good researchers here that are going to provide good information. So I feel like there's a lot of history made, so I'm just excited to be a part of it. I know there'll be a lot of people, a lot of good information, so excited to see it in person for the first time.
Glad to have you.
Blake, one thing I think that a success story from the Milan No-Till Field Day, it's probably been 15 years ago. You may or may not remember, a grower from Georgia came up to see us, and he visited on the day of the field day, and I just happened to run into him, and he said, if I don't learn how to no-till, my father and I are not going to be in business anymore because we can't find help, and that was back when help was still somewhat available. But we just don't have the resources to continue the way we've been doing it. And so he spent the day with us that day. And a matter of fact, I think he spent another day with us, and we sat down with him and sort of helped him with a plan. And those are the success stories that you hear, but most of the time you don't get to hear the end result. Well, as a matter of fact, he showed up the next year with a big smile on his face. And he said, because of the information that I garnered at the field day, my father and I were able to save our family farm, and I reckon they're still farming today. So that was just one of the great things that comes along from not just the producers of Tennessee, but really all across the region.
And all over the world.
Yeah.
We've had them here from all over. And I guess I'd just follow up. We don't, as I said earlier, 95% of our growers in the state are using some form of conservation tillage. In the early days, we were trying to teach them how to no-till. How do you get that seed into that soil through that residue? We're way past that. We'll have a video, a virtual portion this year of No-Till 101 that we recorded in 2020, and we'll keep showing. But we feel like our goal now is how to show farmers how to incorporate all these new technologies into a no-till system. These two young guys here are going to see lots of new technologies in the next few years, and it's going to be cool to watch, and we get to play with that new stuff as it comes out. That's the fun part of our job. But anyway, it's a lot of fun, a lot of exciting things, and we're just happy we get to be a part of it. Hope y'all all come join us.